Are you a fan of John Carney films? The name may not sound familiar, but he's the writer-director behind a couple of musically awesome films like Once and Sing Street. His brand new film, Power Ballad, stars the forever young Paul Rudd and real-life singer-songwriter Nick Jonas, and then a mixtape full of hit covers. So is this another chart-topper feel-good movie, or is it destined for the bargain bin? When Rick, a past his prime wedding singer, meets fading boy band star Danny during a gig, the two bond over music and a late-night jam session. But when Danny turns one of Rick's songs into the hit that reignites his career, Rick sets out to reclaim the recognition he believes he deserves. So we got Paul Rudd as Rick and Nick Jonas as Danny, and together they have some amazing chemistry. But before we get to see them clicking together, we're introduced to Rick, the lead in a wedding cover band. Now, Rick is content, perhaps a bit dreamy and longing for what his past could have turned into, but he gets to gig consistently and still be around for his wife and daughter. And right from the start, we see the band together. I wasn't sure if it was actually Rudd singing these covers, but once the credits rolled, it showed that, yeah, he was the one belting out the tunes. Now, he's not pitch perfect excellence, but he's quite good at hitting the melodies and then creating something you want to sing along to. Then we get to see another gig where Rick meets former boy bander Danny, and what is assumed to be a smug and pretentious wanker of a singer shows himself to be a struggling artist who cares deeply about proving his record label, and then the world, wrong about whether or not he has talent. Now, it is fortuitous that Jonas was really in a boy band, so the production can grab archival footage of the singer being chased by paparazzi, at huge concerts performing, and then all of the tabloid covers, which then helps to sell the persona for this story. And Jonas shows some surprising heart in many of his scenes. I mean, he's supposed to be the villain for the plot, and we can feel a level of ire towards him later on, but I was impressed at how emotionally convincing he came across. There's one sequence in particular towards the final act of the film where Danny has this sort of come-to-Jesus moment, and the looks and expressions that he conjures up, they're suspenseful, just thanks to the conflict that he's able to display. I mean, you genuinely don't know how he's going to respond in that moment, and that edged me closer to the edge of my seat. But certainly not to be outshone by a real singer, Paul Rudd is absolutely fantastic in this role of a musician who never really made it big. And the story could wallow in self-pity and melancholy, but the character wouldn't be nearly as engaging long-term. We need to be able to root for Rick over the course of this narrative. And with the combo of efficient and clever writing, and then a grounded but yearning performance by Rudd, Rick is someone who is far from perfect, but still garners a ton of sympathy despite some glaring flaws. While there are a handful of supporting characters, two get the most screen time over the rest. Previous Carney collaborator Jack Rayner and Peter McDonald, who also co-wrote this story. Now, Rayner is always great to watch, and here he's a management exec who shows the somewhat shadier side of the music industry. He suspects something's not right with Danny's new hit, but he chooses the cash the hit produces over any moral scruples. And McDonald plays a longtime friend and bandmate of Rick's. He's rough, brash, and a fierce Irish friend. And he shares some awesome chemistry with Rudd, making their duo this laugh-out-loud pairing. But despite having stellar performances, this wouldn't be a John Carney film if it didn't feature some phenomenal music, too. Now, yeah, a lot of what we hear, they're covers of hits, but that doesn't make them any less of a banger. And just like the crowds at the weddings that the band performs at, it's hard not to sing along, even if it is quietly in your seat as you're stuffing your gullet with popcorn. But then there are a couple of original songs that get played. One in particular becomes the theme, just the anthem song, and the central focus of the story's conflict. Now, if you hate pop music and you don't enjoy earworms that just follow you for days, plug up your ears or just avoid the movie completely, because How to Write a Song Without You, it is going to get stuck in your brain for a very long time. And I don't think you're going to mind because it is a wonderful tune. And then to round out the acting and the soundtrack, the story has a bunch of heart to it as well. There's just the right amount of complication and heartache, which spur on character action so they feel earned and not just haphazardly inserted. And even though Rick's relationship with his wife and daughter isn't pushed to the forefront often, we're still given an excellent grasp of what they mean to each other, making certain sequences heart-wrenching and raw. And the movie uses these emotional downbeats to build the appropriate dramatic pull, but never dwells in that melancholy long enough to drag down the overall mood. It's just that perfect mix of highs and lows that are accentuated by endearing characters, laugh-out-loud instances, and then music that hits the feels in all the right ways. Now, the movie, it's only 98 minutes, so it is quick and slim with the pacing. And I appreciate that there are a couple of montages that are used to showcase both the passage of time and then actions or events that take place during that time period. It's not like these are sequences that require huge bouts of exposition to just clearly explain what's going on. The visuals, they tell a story in less than a minute, when it could have taken like 5 or 10 had the montage not been in use. Now, these can't be seen as a lazy way to progress the story, but to dwell on the mundane areas only serves to just hurt the momentum and then the impact of the story rather than expand on its meaning. There's also a large level of predictability within the plot. Just from the synopsis, we can tell that despite two people hitting it off early in the tale, there will be conflict that might be tumultuous. And while that is present, there are also some unexpected turns the arcs take us on to shake the story up just a bit. I mean, yeah, it will kind of end up exactly where you expect it to. But just like with a romance or an underdog story, it's not satisfying to get a realistic and honestly disappointing conclusion. We want the couple to get together. We want David to beat Goliath. It allows a lot of us common folk to just feel as though all is not hopeless, even if it is for only about 90 minutes of our day. I had an absolute blast with this film. It isn't technically perfect, and it does use some shortcuts to get to elements faster while also containing a predictable trajectory. But the feeling I walked away with after watching this was uplifted, happy, even optimistic. Paul Rudd is a superstar, showing vulnerability, even some hubris, while growing through his trials. Nick Jonas, who we know can sing, uses his melodic and sometimes mumbly vocal stylings to complement an emotionally and morally conflicted persona that is both antagonistic and sympathetic. The soundtrack is going to tunnel its way into your brain and grab hold something fierce, filling every moment with glorious songs that can harness the voices of even the most opposites of people into some glorious harmony. And just like with Sing Street and Once, this is a triumphant feel-good film that you should go see over and over and over again. And hopefully there will even be a sing-along version that we can all attend to belt out all the hits as one cacophony of awesomeness. There's no sex or nudity, a lot of profanity, and then some violence. I give Power Ballad 5 out of 5 couches. This is an instant rewatch for me, and one that I am going to absolutely be buying as well. Okay, are there any rock-themed movies that you've enjoyed? I mean, some that come to mind that are just varying levels of fun. The Dirt, Across the Universe, that Beatles one Yesterday, Rockstar. Let me know some of those that you like, though, in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.